Welcome to this epic disaster. This is Cheri, and Rick is here with me as well as always. I couldn't do it without him.
You probably could, actually. Well, you could do the podcast, but you couldn't record it. You wouldn't know how to record it, and you wouldn't know how to put it up on the internet and distribute it and all that kind of stuff.
Seeing as how I'm an IT professional, I could probably figure it out.
I don't think you could. Plus, you don't know all the passwords and everything. I think there needs to come a time when I show you how to do all that stuff.
That'd be fabulous.
So you can do it on your own if you have to. If I die, or if I have a stroke and I'm in the hospital, and you have to do a solo podcast,
right? Because you got to keep the podcast going.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you can interview me while I'm in the hospital.
That's so hateful.
What do you think? How did you get sick, Rick? Oh, really? That sounds interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
It might happen.
I mean, I don't doubt that that's what you would sound like. I'm just saying, wow.
Almost what I sound like now.
True.
Hey, guess what?
What?
We start our show
with a joke.
With a delicious... No.
Yes.
No.
Claustrophobic people are more productive thinking outside the box. Yeah. Don't choke on it. Don't choke on it. You're fine.
You've already got me brain damaged.
All right, tell them about the beer.
You tell them about the beer.
Just tell them what we're doing.
We're drinking a beer because we do this thing called Live Beer Review. If you never listened to the show, and why the heck have you not, we do this thing every show where we crack open a beer that we've never had before, and we drink it, and then at the end of the show, we will tell you what we think of this here beer. You have a nice little golden beer. As I always say, it looks like potty. It does. It's very potty-ish.
Oh, wow.
This is
smelly.
It's a pale ale.
So this is a pale ale by Monday Night Brewing Company, Monday Night Brewing Company here in Atlanta, they're awesome. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
They have some really good porters.
We've had several of their beers on the show.
Dark beers that I really like. Mm-hmm. I'm not an IPA fan or a pale ale fan really of any kind. Mm-mm. And they... are apparently because they have a lot of them, and this one is called Brolo.
It's a little Star Wars reference,
a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a pale ale, and it says it's hazy, crushable, and chewy.
What for a beer?
It's
I don't
also
want a chewy beer. What does that mean?
If this is not very flavorful,
chewy, like
it's chewy. That's not even close.
Your dog does a better Chewbacca impression than I do.
Than most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Than most people that have played Chewbacca.
I can't do it.
It's true.
Unless I'm actually in the hospital.
So let me just point this out to you, Rick.
Okay.
You chose this beer.
I did.
Okay. So I just want you to know that if it is not tasty and flavorful and enjoyable,
it's my fault.
It's really also not worth it because it's only 4.7% alcohol.
Okay. Well, that's okay because I just had a beer that has a little more than that. So anyway, let's try it out. I'm going to smell it first.
Do your thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You can smell the hops.
I always it's grapefruit. It smells like grapefruit. This
one really does.
Yeah, very much. Why do all these beers smell like grapefruit?
I don't know. Are they in the... Wah.
It tastes like grapefruit.
It does taste very much like grapefruit.
And
then after that, there's this weird kind of...
I always feel bad about that because you remember our friend Doug in a Pub, who we talk about a lot.
Right.
Didn't he send us some beers? He sent us some beers, and we tried them.
Some Brewdog beers.
He tried them, and I was like, it tastes like grapefruit. Ugh.
But you loved one of them.
It was like the best beer. He says the best beer he ever had.
And you hated one of them.
What was it? Elvis juice or something like that?
Elvis juice.
And it was just too grapefruity for me. This tastes like grapefruit juice.
This is grapefruit juice.
Yeah.
With a little alcohol in it. A very little alcohol in it. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, speaking of our friend Doug in a Pub, let's give him a shout out because Doug in a Pub, if you know Doug in a Pub, you've listened to the podcast. We interviewed Doug one time, especially I think we did on our last podcast.
Doug, meaning our other podcast, not the last episode of this one.
No, our last podcast. Yeah. Life in a Kill podcast. So Doug in a Pub is starting his own podcast. So we're going to give him a shout out. If you want to listen to Doug in a Pub, now I don't know I'm not going to guess. I know Doug's a very positive person. And so I think he's going to do some interviews and he's going to do a lot of kind of uplifting things. But he's also going to talk about booze, I'm pretty sure.
He likes to talk about beer.
Yeah, because he drinks a lot of it and he travels around to a lot of breweries. He knows a lot more about beer than we do.
He's lucky enough in his position in life that he travels. So he gets to go to a lot of different restaurants, breweries, et cetera, and find amazing beers that he likes to talk about.
So his new episode, I think it may be out now. So just go look for it. I think you go to duganapub.com and find out about it and give it a listen. Because, when you're starting a new podcast, everybody needs support. We're going to listen.
Good job, Doug. So why did the mobile phone need glasses?
Man, someone cracked it. I don't know.
It lost all its contacts. Come on.
I have a question.
This is good material.
No, it's not. Let's do some Would You Rather. Just start off the show with some Would You Rather. We need a conundrum.
You pick.
Because I don't want to get.
And I don't mean you pick like the tribe in Alaska. I meant you pick like you pick. Which,
all right.
Okay.
What
are you doing?
I already got the card, so you roll.
Okay.
You roll the color dice, please.
Okay.
Color dice.
I will. I don't think that's
Green's
politically correct.
Green's gonna fall.
To call them colored.
Green's gonna fall.
It's yellow.
Well, gonna mix up green. All right, yellow is random. Would you rather, in a guest bathroom with no toilet paper, use the hand towel?
Oh God.
Something about Polly. Or
along came Polly.
Or an old newspaper to wipe your butt.
Old newspaper.
Why? Who wouldn't?
Because if it's a hand towel, then you're gonna be like, you're gonna want to launder this.
I know. Yeah, and it's someone else's guest bathroom. What if
if it's newspaper, you can just put it in the garbage. And
that's what I'm saying. And then you're downstairs, and then they're like, "Oh, I want to show you this newspaper of my grandfather's that I've saved for 50 years."
Why would it be in the bathroom?
Maybe they had it displayed. Maybe they're getting ready to frame it. I
wouldn't pull newspaper off the wall.
I don't know.
To wipe my ass.
I don't know what you do.
I wouldn't.
Or do. Anyway, okay.
Wow, you're 12.
I know.
No, you're closer to 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, it's my turn.
It's your turn.
I'm going to toss some colors here. All right, hold on. I got to pick them all up. Maybe I'm the one who's getting green. You ever think of that?
You are getting a little green.
Here
are
I
you
go.
Feeling okay?
Shaking it up. Drop.
Green.
Oh, yeah.
Your psychic abilities amaze me.
I like to call it psychic. All right, go ahead.
Okay. And you say my jokes are bad. Just drink it. Just get through it. Just drink it. You're fine.
Start your day with grapefruit juice. You're not supposed to drink grapefruit juice if you're taking CBD oil. Did you know that?
There's a lot of antibiotics you're not supposed to drink or take grapefruit juice with.
It'll keep you from utilizing it. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so your green would you rather question has to do with ethics or intellect. And would you rather find out your fiance had a sex change before you met him or her?
We already had
this.
We did a whole episode.
But not about whether she was already a man and never told you.
But that's a fiance now.
Okay.
So I didn't know, and I'm married, and she's already
had a sex change before you and they met. Mm-hmm. Or find out your fiance was in a drug cartel, which wasn't very receptive to their decision to leave.
So by marrying her, I put myself in danger?
Right.
Wow. Oh. When she had the change, did she get some good boobs?
Possibly.
I'll take that one.
Okay. I mean, I figured you would. Because you're rather accepting. Especially since our last podcast.
I don't want to have to live though in a situation where I'm always having to look over my shoulder.
Your shoulder, wondering if they're going to come chop your fingers off.
Yeah,
that's awkward.
Yeah, that's not cool. But if she had a sex change, they wouldn't recognize her, so it's probably a good life anyway.
I mean, maybe
she
was in the drug
boobs.
Cartel, decided to leave, somehow found a doctor that would change her appearance, new face.
Although she might have
gender.
some good money. That might be kind of awesome.
And, of course, find someone to launder the money.
There's so many options.
Then you would never have to worry. I like it. Unless they found the doctor. Because they could totally torture a doctor.
All right, I have a question.
What?
It's not a quiz. I've been in kind of a dark mood, so most of my stuff today is a little dark. I'm sorry.
Right.
I apologize.
That's okay.
So here's
I have
my question.
Something uplifting for later.
Here's my question. If you could kill,
like murder,
yes,
with my own hands,
it's legal. You could kill one TV commercial spokesperson, like a character, one of the spokesperson characters on TV. You could kill them. Mm-hmm. Who would it be? Who'd you kill?
I have 2.
You would kill 2 people? I think you can only kill 1.
Okay, then I'm going to go with the absolute worst one.
All right.
And if you don't live on the West Coast or in Texas, you won't know who I'm talking about, but you should absolutely look him up.
I don't know.
Cal Worthington Ford.
He's dead. He's been dead for a long time.
I met him.
Really?
Because I used to work for him.
Okay. Yeah, but he's dead.
Go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Cal. Yeah, no. Okay, so let's go on to my next one. He's already dead, so I don't get to kill him.
You can't kill Cal.
You know, he had a 30-year-old wife when he died.
Oh, who doesn't want that? Maybe that contributed. Who knows?
Could be. So anyhow, the next person would be Affleck.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. I fucking hate that. I hate it so much. And to be honest with you, never really cared for Gilbert Gottfried.
Okay, first of all,
as a comedian.
He doesn't do it anymore.
No, I know he doesn't do it anymore.
He hasn't done it in like 20 years.
Because there was an issue.
15 years. Yeah.
It's been about 15. But yeah, but I don't like him.
You don't like Gilbert?
No.
I will say this to you. Listen to his podcast. He's one of the most pleasant people on the podcast. And he's
I'm sure he's a funny person.
And he does this podcast about all like old Hollywood, like B characters, C characters, and he interviews people who are like minor characters in movies. It's really, really interesting. But check out his podcast.
I'm sure as a person he's fine, but the character that he gave himself as a comedian just irritated me.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, I knew you would, and that's why I told you you're going to be mad.
Yeah, no, I wasn't mad.
Okay,
you're killing the duck, so I hate that commercial too.
Okay.
Mine, if I was going to kill a spokesperson, it would be the bada book, bada boom guy.
Who's that?
You don't know on the commercial? It's like I think it's Choice Hotels. Right now, the campaign is they're all sitting around trying to figure out how to do a commercial, and so like I was watching it earlier, and the guy's like, in this commercial, this couple's walking and they're glowing because they feel good about being in Choice Hotels, and the guy goes, who glows? Just say, bada book, bada boom.
Okay, so here's the problem. I haven't had cable in 5 years.
That's why you haven't seen it.
Right.
But it doesn't make sense. Now, they're playing off of the kind of New York or New Jersey stereotype, the Italian guy, bada boom.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So they've got him
Forget about it.
They kind of have him dressed as a gangster, but they don't want to be
associated with gangsters.
They don't want people complaining and saying it's a stereotype. So he's kind of that, but he's kind of not. But no one, he says, who glows? Well, my question is, who says bada book, bada boom? No one does.
Right.
What does that mean? I know it's supposed to be bada book, a hotel room. No one does that. No one says it.
No
one
does.
uses that.
Although, funny side note.
And I want to shoot him. I want to murder him.
Okay.
That's the guy I would murder.
Not the actual human being.
No,
just
I might
the
even do
character,
that. I might do the whole thing. Get rid of him. All of it.
It's a funny side note. I have a funny side note.
Okay.
I used to, and still do sometimes, design interiors in my head. I will put together entire interior designs in my head. And in one of my designs, I had these 2 half globes hanging off the wall. Very large globes. And they both had a beta fish.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to name them Beta Bing, Beta Boom.
Ah.
I just think it's cute.
I mean, bada bing, bada boom. It's a stereotype. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's funny. Okay, I have to tell you something about this beer.
You hate it. You bought it.
No, listen to this.
Not only that, you bought a 6-pack.
Here's what I'm going to tell you about this beer.
I have to take this shit to work now.
I'm going to ruin this entire beer for you right now. You will not be able to drink the rest of it.
Why would you do that?
Because.
Now I have to go downstairs and make a cocktail.
Smell it. It smells exactly like body odor. Smell it right now. Just pick it up and smell it. Well, you like body odor.
It doesn't smell anything like body odor. Body odor smells like onions.
It smells exactly like body odor.
Whose body odor?
A person who smells.
Like
I don't know.
grapefruits?
I'm not sure I can drink it. I can't drink it smelling it anymore because I got that whiff of body odor and now
Are
it
you
won't
sure
leave.
that wasn't your breath?
No, now it won't leave. It's in my nose.
No, I think it's your upper lip.
No. Can't drink. Anyway.
Okay, don't drink it. That's fine.
I'm gonna try drinking it without breathing. Can you do that?
Just don't breathe.
All right, I saw a show on Netflix this week. We have to talk about.
Why? What is it?
Okay, it's called The Dirt.
Okay, so this is the Motley Crue thing.
Yes, it's a Motley Crue biopic. Now, I was never a Motley Crue fan.
I was always a Motley Crue fan.
Were you?
From the time I was, let's see, they came out when I was 7 or 8 or 9, somewhere in there. And I have always been a Motley Crue fan.
I respect them for the cultural contribution they made. And as a metal band, I would say maybe they were one of the better ones.
I will tell you this. Recently, I have started, listening to them on classic radio because, they've been around for a hot minute.
Right.
The Girls, Girls, Girls album is very derogatory.
Of course.
And horrible.
Well, the whole movie, we'll talk about this because they're all into strippers. There's so much nudity in the movie. It's very sexual. The acting is okay. The story is... and I was telling someone this, there's nothing in the story that I didn't already know.
Okay.
And if you grew up
at that time... So it's not worth watching?
For me, it wasn't really. The only thing that I would say, you know how sometimes you watch, let's say The Doors. Mm-hmm. You watch the movie The Doors. Whether you like it or not, it was a long-ass movie.
Yeah.
But you watch it because you're like, oh, Val Kilmer looks exactly like Jim Morrison. And then
or better.
And then you're thinking about some other big star that's like Elvis sometimes will make an appearance, and then you're like, who's playing Elvis? Do they look like Elvis?
Right.
Part of the fun of biopics, in my opinion, is when they get the people that that
look like them.
Yeah, you want to see how they play. Mm-hmm. So,
like Rami, is it Rami who played Freddie?
Yeah. That's what, to me, that's half the fun.
Right.
And I haven't seen that movie yet, but there's so many other musicians that interact that you want to know, who's playing them, what they look like, do they do a good job, and all that kind of stuff. So, to me, that was the best thing about the movie, was just seeing how the people, and after you get used to, like, I think David Lee Roth, someone does David Lee Roth, he's on for just a split second, and I have to say, whoever does it does a pretty good job.
Nice.
But all the Motley Crue guys, after a while, you kind of accept it.
Right.
I think the guy that plays Tommy Lee was probably the closest of all of them to, like, the real person.
Yeah.
Here's what bugged me about the Motley Crue biopic.
Who played Mick Mars? I used to love Mick Mars.
Some dude, I don't know anybody that was in it, but I felt like he looked the least like anybody that's in the real life.
Right.
But it was interesting. Just most of the stuff I knew already. Maybe a couple little storylines I wasn't really familiar with. But here's the thing that bugged me about the movie is through the entire movie, they're always saying, oh, dude, hey, dude. No one in the 80s said dude.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
All the time.
Dude didn't happen till much later. Everybody in the 80s said man. Man was the thing. No one said dude.
I said dude.
Dude did not start happening until well after the 80s.
Not
the 90s.
Well after the 80s.
Into the 90s.
No, I disagree. Late 80s,
no.
Dude was a thing.
You were 5.
Bullshit,
I was 5. You were dudeing in your pants.
I was in a high school.
You were, no, in the 80s?
Yes, I started high school in 86. How
when
old
you were
do you
10?
think I wasn't 10. I was 12.
No
when
one starts
did you
high
start
school.
high school?
No one starts high school when they're 12.
Okay, my high school went from 7th to
That's middle school.
Okay, so fine, middle school, whatever. Yes, dude.
No, it didn't happen. No one said dude in the 80s. They didn't.
Yes, I said dude all the time.
You did not.
Dude, I so did.
No, you didn't. And certainly not as much as dude. As a word, dude started happening, I think, or catching on.
This is just your recollection. This is not scientific.
That's correct. As is everything in the podcast. Dude started happening as far as like in the public thing during Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Because
and when do you think that came out?
That was in the 80s, but it didn't happen to be a big thing because Sean Penn's character occasionally would say it, but it didn't catch on. Now, there might have been a little subculture of like the surfers that might have did. You were freaking California anyway.
Yes, I was in California.
But I just think it
may not have made it to your neck of the fucking redneck woods.
It wasn't as big as it is now, and I just don't think people said it as much. That's what bugged me about it.
And where do you think Motley Crue was?
Dude, I don't know.
Right?
I say they didn't say it. But anyway,
you and your opinions.
I know. I'm not going to say it's not worth watching, but I kind of say it. I just feel like there's no surprises. And here's the thing. So much has to happen in so little time. I mean, you've got an entire heavy metal career where all this crap happened, and they tried to show everything. I mean, they tried to show 4 people's stories. So you got to see Tommy Lee marrying Heather Locklear and then divorcing. You got to see Vince Neil killing, or basically vehicular manslaughter with the lead singer for Hanoi Rocks. Nikki Sixx overdosing, Ozzy Osbourne snorting ants, and Nikki Sixx's potty, which I didn't realize he did that, but he does. And there's so much happening. It just becomes like not a storyline. It's just like, okay, here's that event. Okay, here's this thing. Remember this thing we told you about?
Let's move on to this weird thing and so this weird thing.
It becomes kind of disjointed. Now, the whole storyline where they kicked out Vince Neil and they got a new lead singer for a while, I was just like, what the heck happened there? And I didn't really know why and how that happened. So that was kind of interesting to figure that, to know why. And then they all got, according to the movie, they all kind of got back together because they really liked each other and they're brothers and they want to perform together.
So it's a Hallmark movie.
In the end, it became a big Hallmark movie with cocaine.
Oh, nice.
But they were all supposed to be sober in the end. In the end, everyone became a sober person. They loved each other. They were great musicians, and everything turned out perfectly in the end. That's what happened in the movie. So it's kind of weird, but also, so it's
a Disney movie.
Well, and this whole movie, they try to, they show how disgusting these people were. Like they're screwing each other's girlfriends,
right, and each other.
Yeah, and they're doing all this drugs, and they're, it's just, I mean, it was wild life. And then in the end, you're supposed to feel sorry for all of them. And
because they were thrown into this life, and they had no choice but to live this way. Now, mind you, I will never stop somebody from living how they want to live as long as they aren't hurting anybody. If you want to hurt yourself like that, then by all means, please do. But I probably can't be part of it. But it just feels weird. It feels contrived.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not going to check it out. I've heard about it, and I'm like, maybe, but then again, no.
I watched it while I was painting my house, so I had it on in the background. But I was watching it actively, so I would give it 2 stars out of 5 if I was rating movies.
Which part of your house did you paint?
Well, I'll show you when we go downstairs.
Okay.
I can't explain it. No one cares.
Okay. I haven't noticed any. I'm sorry.
You should notice it. But anyway, so watch it if you want to, and if you do, let us know what you think about it, because I want to know. And here's what I'm finding out. So I was doing a little research. I went on the page, and people were like, "This is the best biopic I've ever seen. It's awesome. It's incredible." And most of these people were like kids, young people.
Right.
So it's like us watching The Doors.
Of course.
Yeah.
Or even more than that.
Or me watching The Doors.
Yeah.
I won't say us, but me watching The Doors, because it's a band that, was popular way before I was born. And so a lot of these people, they don't know anything about Motley Crue. Somebody that I follow on Facebook posted a couple pictures of Vince Neil, lead singer of Motley Crue.
Yeah, he's not as hot as he used to be.
He's eating well.
Yes, yes.
I mean, getting sober often, obviously makes you
sometimes when you
down.
miss one vice, you replace it with another.
Well, I don't make fun too much because he's my age, and you get puffy.
You puff
as you get older, and
yes.
you don't look like, a pretty young girl like he used to look.
Boy, he was pretty.
They were all like that.
But they were 12.
I mean, Poison.
Come on.
Which I think is, in my opinion, one of the worst metal bands. I hate Poison.
What about Cinderella? Now that's not heavy metal. That's glam.
Well,
Poison included.
It
that's
turned
glam.
into glam, and everybody was like, "Hey, we're doing great." And Guns N' Roses was like, "Well, watch what we do.
Watch out.
We're going to end your career."
Yeah, glam is over.
And then everybody was like, "Holy crap! Now we have to get tattoos and be like biker stuff." And so everybody changed. But I just feel like I never liked Poison.
Do you know who never went down the glam route but still managed to stick it out? Great White.
Oh, that's one of your little kind of bands.
It is.
But and I've said this before, the lead singer of Great White, what's his name?
Russell.
Jack Russell? Wasn't it Jack?
One of them is Russell.
Okay.
And I had the hots for him.
Really? I feel like the lead singer was Jack. I know the Sister Christian, what's that band? Night Ranger.
Yeah.
Jack Blade, which is a great rock name.
Right?
But I think Great White was Jack too.
No, I don't think so. His name was Russell.
We should probably do a lot more research before we do these shows.
Before we start talking about this.
But anyway,
but this is,
I always felt like the lead singer for Great White looked like your uncle. He looked like a local band lead singer. He just didn't have the glam.
Maybe that's why I had the hot spot.
Like, who was like,
maybe I like your uncle.
You know who would almost make me turn gay?
What?
And I wouldn't, but like in the metal genre.
Unless it was your wife.
You know who was like the hottest dude?
His name was Jack Russell. But that was the drummer.
We were both right.
Hold on.
No, the lead singer was Jack too, I feel like.
Lead singer, Jack Russell. Sorry. Okay. Digress. Move on.
Kip Winger.
Warrant.
That was a good-looking man.
Warrant, right?
No,
Winger. Winger. Did he do anything else?
He's composing symphonies now.
Where did he start?
In Winger. I mean...
So he just came out as Winger?
I think he started that thing where the little move that they do where they sling the guitar and it spins around their neck with the guitar strap.
He didn't start that.
He started doing it with a bass guitar because he was a bass guitarist. And I think he started it and then everybody else started doing it with their guitars.
I don't think so.
I don't know if he started, but I think he might have.
There's too many wires.
No, actually, I'm saying he started it.
There's too many wires.
I'm going ahead and saying Kip Winger started that.
Nope.
He did.
Nope.
But now he's composing symphonies. I mean, he's like a brilliant musician. He's
lead singer Sebastian Bach. Lead singer of
Man, that dude's got a voice. I'm telling you.
He went on to do Broadway.
Oh yeah. He did Phantom of the Opera, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his voice was always just amazeballs. And you're like, what are you doing in a heavy metal band?
We really are going off on a tangent here.
Sorry.
But I'm gonna continue because I saw this show a while back, and people have probably seen it was on VH1. And they put like metal stars in a house together.
Right.
For a while on reality shows, everybody had to be in a house together.
Put everybody of one group in a house together.
Yeah.
Whether they know each other or not.
So the main ones that I remember was Sebastian Bach was living with Ted Nugent.
Oh God.
And I can't remember the bass player, Evan something. And then the drummer was supposed to be John Bonham, and I don't think he ever showed up. Isn't that right?
I don't know.
John Bonham.
Why would I watch that? I don't know anything about it.
All right, here's the deal.
You had cable way more than I did.
It was a long time ago. Sebastian Bach was kind of a diva and a little bit of a dick.
Well, yeah. If you had a voice like that, you'd be a dick too.
You know who I liked so much?
Who?
And it made me mad?
Who?
Ted Nugent was awesome. And
How can you like that murdering asshole?
I normally am not a Ted Nugent fan, but he was cool in that. I mean, I don't know if he worked hard to try to be likable or what, but he came off as, I was just like, I would hang with Ted, and normally I don't even want to be in the same room with Ted.
No.
But I feel
Trophy hunter.
I feel like a lot of what Ted does, and I feel like a lot of people who are political and get like Ann Coulter, who get a lot of attention, I feel like they try to be outrageous on purpose so that they stay in the news. And so Ted sometimes needs some kind of publicity. So he says,
I'll just go kill
let's shoot liberals.
Yeah. Or animals.
Yeah. Or Hillary
caged.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then he gets on the front page and he laughs his ass off. So whether he really believes a lot of that stuff, and I mean, what he does as far as hunting, that's not my business. I mean, he's allowed to do that all he wants. But, I don't know. He came off in that show as kind of looking cool. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but that was my opinion.
Do you remember the name of that show?
Rock House, maybe. Rock House. That sounds familiar. I believe it was Rock House.
I think you're old.
That was a long time ago, though.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, Sebastian Bach's got a great voice.
Yes.
Awesome voice.
Yes. Kills me.
I didn't mean to go on the metal.
Especially since I try and emulate it in the car on my way home. And in Atlanta, with the windows down and the sunroof open, when you're trying to emulate Sebastian Bach and you're at a parking lot of an interstate, other people can actually hear you.
Yeah.
So then it dawns on me and I'm like, oh shit.
Well, the other great, I mean, heavy metal as a genre, especially when it became like, quote, hair bands.
Right.
And people laugh at it and stuff. They still, I mean, for the most part, you had to be a great vocalist because you had to hit some high notes.
I really want you to just, in your mind, just imagine Cinderella right now and tell me
I know.
You had to be a great vocalist because no.
I mean, he kind of was.
No.
Yeah.
He's singing through his nose's nose.
That's true.
He's...
Yeah.
It's no.
Wasn't he? No. I was trying to think. I feel like he got fired from Cinderella.
And then Cinderella did nothing after that, which is horribly sad.
But the dude from Rat, remember that? Stephen Piercy, I believe.
That's Milton Berle's nephew.
Was it?
Yes.
I think he got fired from Rat. Apparently,
the only reason he was even in Rat is because he was Milton Berle's nephew.
No one cares about this conversation. The fact that we know all of this kind of weird stuff. The fact
that we know who Milton Berle is.
But I just want to say one more thing.
What?
For me, there were two turning points for hair bands and heavy metal. First of all, the first one was obvious, Guns N' Roses, which just changed the whole genre.
Yeah.
And Guns N' Roses was a bridge to, quote, grunge music, I feel like.
They did kind of mellow things out from the whole glitter glam down a bit. So then grunge took it down another level.
And I was never, and still am not, a Guns N' Roses fan.
See, I am. I've seen them 4 times.
I loved Welcome to the Jungle. But that's about it for me.
But they suck live.
Do they?
Because I saw him during Axl's, the lead singer's heroin days. So in studio, he sounds great. You get him on stage when he's fucked up, he sounds like crap.
I believe I just was reading like the top entertainers, like music entertainers, money-making entertainers of last year, and Guns N' Roses was in the top 5. They made like $76 million.
That's because
they toured together.
They toured together, and they just released a new box set last year, which went ballistic because there were a bunch of singles on it that weren't ever released.
The other moment that changed hair band music, in my opinion, was it might have been the MTV Awards, might have been the Grammy Awards, I can't remember. But John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora with acoustic guitars singing together in perfect harmony, beautiful. And I think people just said, we don't need all that other crap because these guys have got it.
Yep.
And there was something that kind of changed a little bit. And I think people realized, first of all, Bon Jovi was kind of a chick band. And I'm kind of, purposely using that. But the people, I think, really realized they had some talent.
Well, they came around the same time as glam rock, but they never went super glam.
A little bit they did.
But then they got right out of it.
But John Bon Jovi was a pretty boy.
My sister had him plastered all over every wall in her room. I've seen that face from every angle. I swear to you. I've had nightmares about that face. I think
my ex-wife had it on the wall too, right above our bed.
Wallpaper. You could not see the wall. That's how bad it was. But oh gosh, there was another band I wanted to bring up, and now I can't remember. So let's move on. So if you guys have any comments on this, please hit us up at thisepicdisaster@gmail.com.
Yeah, let us know your favorite vocalist. Who's the best?
From hair bands.
I was never into the really heavy stuff like Metallica.
See, that's where I was going to go. Okay, I grew up with Metallica. I grew up in Sherwood Forest in California. I lived there for a couple of years.
Friar Tuck?
Couple of years. No, Kirk Hammett's mom lived like 2 blocks away.
He's not in the band anymore, is he?
No, no, he's not. Anyways, she made great cookies. But so went to a lot of Metallica bands when they played Metallica shows when they played these tiny little venues.
Just starting out?
No, they were already kind of big, but they would still come back to the Bay Area and play places like the Omni and the Stone. And the tiny places like that. And when I say tiny, I guess 250 people. So pretty tiny. And they were amazing shows. I was dating musicians at the time, and I was much, much too young to be doing so. I was even too young to be in those clubs. But it was a blast. We had a great time. And I think Metallica kind of came in and said, you glam boys, you're pretty and all that, but let's take it to another level. And they were less heavy metal, more what you call thrash at the time.
Right.
So they kind of went that route. But then they did mellow out maybe album 3 and kind of go down another road, like when Enter the Sandman came out, you know, that kind of thing. They really kind of mellowed out and brought in some more melody and a little less grrr, and they are just an amazing band. I will tell you a super fun side note is my sister is a huge Metallica fan, and the entire time she was pregnant with my nephew, that's all she listened to in the car was Metallica, and she listens to Metallica very, very loudly. So when my nephew was a baby, the only thing we could do to get him to go to sleep was get in a car and blast Metallica, and he would go to sleep.
Interesting.
It was very interesting. So, okay, I do have a story for you.
Yes.
I found this story on Facebook, and it's one of these, feel good, learn a moral lesson kind of stories. And I'm thinking, I don't like the moral of the story. Oh. So I researched the story itself. Like, where does this story come from? Because this has to have some kind of background. And it does. I'm going to read you the actual recent story later because I want to talk to you about that. But first, I'm going to tell you a little entomology, I guess, if that's the word, of this story.
Entomology?
Isn't that like the history of a word? Isn't that what I'm looking for?
It could be. I'm also thinking it means the study of insects.
No, that's okay. Either one, they're very similar. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the story from
etymology.
Etymology, right? Okay. Aesop's
That's
fables.
a study of what I just ate.
You're so.
I got that out of your dad joke book.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this Aesop's fables. There's a story about the farmer and the viper. The farmer finds a snake freezing in the snow, takes pity on it, and picks it up and puts it in his coat. Okay, because it's freezing to death, and so he wants to warm him up. So as the viper starts to get warm, he bites the farmer, who dies in the knowledge that it was his own fault.
Okay.
All right, because stupid, don't put a fucking viper in your coat, right?
Sure.
All right. So this moves on from there. Now, this is millennia ago. Mm-hmm. In both the Greek and Latin, this story continues on both ways. And in the Greek version, the farmer reproaches himself during the story for pitying a scoundrel. So he's like, "How I'm stupid,
right.
Why did I do that?" And
this sounds like a Ted Nugent story already.
There's also a medieval version. Medieval version. There were a lot of those. But a medieval version of the fable shows that the snake turns to the farmer and speaks and says, "Did you not know that there is enmity and natural antipathy between your kind and mine? Did you not know that a serpent in the bosom, a mouse in a bag, and a fire in the barn give their hosts an ill reward?" So now the snake's calling him stupid.
Yeah.
Right? What are you, stupid?
Didn't you know I was going to bite you?
Didn't you know?
Right.
And then in later versions, the snake gets even worse, threatening the farmer's wife and strangling the farmer when he tries to intervene.
Snake's an asshole.
Right? And then it continues on through time, being told in different ways. There's one where he even threatens his wife and his children. So it's basically to continue to make the snake worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Right.
Right. So in a recent story I read, it's called A Man Saw a Snake. And I'm not going to tell you who it's by because I don't know if it's actually by them. It was just posted by them. But I will read this quick short story. A man saw a snake being burned to death and decided to take it out of the fire. When he did, the snake bit him. The bite caused excruciating pain. The man dropped the snake and the reptile fell right back in the fire. The man tried to pull it out again, and again the snake bit him. Someone who was watching approached the man and said, "Excuse me, but don't you understand that every time you try and get that snake out of that fire, it's going to bite you? Why are you being stubborn?" The man replied, "The nature of the snake is to bite, but that's not going to change my nature, which is to help." So, the moral of the story, so with the help of a metal pole, the man took the snake out of the fire and saved its life. So he stopped trying to pick it up with his hand and he grabbed something to get the snake out. Mm-hmm. Okay. He grew a brain. So the moral of the story is, do not change your nature simply because someone harms you. Do not lose your essence, only take precautions. Worry more about your conscience than your reputation. Your conscience is what you are, and your reputation is simply what others think of you, and what other people think is not your problem, it's theirs. Now, I agree with that. But I went on to read this article in which this story was posted, and the person who posted it went on to say, even if somebody stabs you in the back, and even if somebody continues to hurt you, and even if you still have to be nice to them and help them. So what happened here in this version of this story that's been going on for millennia is this person who posted this story changed this from an animal who has a distinct nature to representing that snake as a person. So now my question to you is, A, is that fair to use that? And B, what do you think about continuing to help somebody who continues to stab you in the back or bite you or turn around and hurt you every time you help them?
Yeah. I'm not the savior of the world.
Nope.
So I don't have to be expected to help or save everyone. And a person that I say I can't do anything with, that doesn't mean somebody else might not be able to. I just might not be able to be the person to help that person out. Mm-hmm. I'm a person who believes that you don't have anything to offer anything or anyone if you are not healthy yourself. Mm-hmm. If you are not, if you don't have healthy emotions, if you don't have a healthy inner person, you don't have anything to offer a relationship.
Sure.
So you can't help someone else that you're in a relationship with if you're screwed up. You really can't. Right. Overall, right. You can't. And so I just feel like I've been in too many relationships where I kept trying to help.
Kept trying to pull them out of the fire.
Kept trying to do the work that they were supposed to be doing for themselves.
Right.
And almost every time I had to say, no more. And I have seen people talk about relationships where, I was with this drunk person, talking about heavy metal. That's sort of the Ozzy Osbourne story, wasn't mm-hmm. it? I mean, his wife, Sharon, I kept with him, and he did this, he had this affair and finally he said, I will stay with you. And everything was hunky-dory. Well, what was the end of the story? I mean, didn't they end up getting a divorce, or he did it again? I just feel like a snake is not going to not bite you. You can help the snake, but expect to be bitten.
And that's what the story says, is that don't let it stop you from helping them, but right. Take precautions.
Well, I feel like I see this all the time. Like a horse has fallen into a hole.
Right.
Or a deer has fallen into a hole. Or let's say a dog or a wolf or a coyote has fallen into a hole. And a bunch of people get together to rescue the animal. The animal always tries to bite them. The animal doesn't know you're trying to rescue them.
At some point, sometimes they do kind of get the hint.
They're trying to protect themselves. They're right. Scared. They're cornered. They don't right. know what's happening. They don't know what humans are doing. And what happens is they pull it out, and the animal fights and bites and whatever. And then once they get it up, they let it go, and the thing runs away.
Right.
Never, ever turning around saying, thanks. Thanks a lot for helping me out.
Well, they don't know how.
You just have to let it go.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I think when they do that, they expect to be bitten. They usually take the precaution. They put the gloves on because they know, if a rat is stuck in a trap and you're going to get it out, it's going to try to bite you. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to rescue a beaver that's caught in a trap, it's going to hurt.
Yeah,
because
right.
they don't know.
They don't know. They don't know what you're doing.
You have to prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but when you take that animal and change it into a human being who has reasoning and language, and now you continue to say that person doesn't know what you're doing, that's not fair. So what you're saying, so what this person is taking this story is completely changing the story, which has been around for fucking ever,
right? And
is saying, okay, so apply this to people. Continue to help that person every time, even if they turn around and bite you and run away. Even if they turn around and bite you and run away, continue to, bail them out or help them or let them live with you or give them money or, save them in some way, shape, or form. Let them dry out at your place, whatever, every time.
But I think you have to have the understanding of what help means, because often giving help to someone is not necessarily doing what they want you to do. If you keep giving someone who's hooked on meth money, mm-hmm. thinking that's helping them, you're giving them meth.
Right.
So you might think I'm just doing what they're asking because they're helping, but I just feel like that may not be the thing that helps. It could be actually letting them go to prison is what actually helps them.
Oftentimes.
Yeah, and you have to have the vision to do that. So I just feel like that we're not always in the position to call of what help means. I'm always for helping people, but it doesn't always come in the form that we might actually think that it's going to come in. I don't like if someone, and I'm going to use social media as an example. Mm-hmm. If someone's on my Facebook page mm-hmm. and they're spouting hate right. and they're spouting, well, let's just say hate.
Okay, let's go with
that
hate.
Covers a lot.
Yeah.
It's not my job to change them. It's not my job to try to convince them or to show them their error of their ways.
Likely you won't be able to.
It's my job to click the little button that says remove.
Right.
And get rid of them.
Or hide or unfollow.
I don't need that in my life.
Right.
If they haven't progressed to the point where they don't know that what they're doing is hate, I'm not their teacher.
Right.
Boom, you're out of my life.
Right.
That's not to say I still could be friends with them. I still could, do work with them. I just don't have to interact with them.
I have a very good example, and it's kind of funny, so let's
All
end
right.
on this note. A very good example is that in the past, you have allowed me to borrow your vehicle. Mm-hmm. I have totaled 2 of your vehicles.
Yes, you have.
The likelihood that you will ever lend me another one of your vehicles is slim.
It's pretty much nothing. Yeah.
Even if I needed a vehicle.
I mean, if you needed to drive down the road at an emergency, I would take you. I don't know. I don't. You have a car. You drive it every day. You're not wrecking it. I don't feel like you're wrecking my cars on purpose.
No.
I just feel like it was more of a coincidence.
Yes.
However, it would cause me to think, I don't know that I want to go through this again.
Right.
For whatever reason, I don't know if maybe you're a little bit careless when you're driving someone else's car. I don't know. I'm not in the position to call that. But.
And the honesty is that I'm not. I'm even more careful when I'm driving someone else's car. It just so happens to be coincidence that in both situations, I wrecked while I was driving your car.
But if you're in a relationship with an alcoholic and the person says, the person acts completely inappropriately.
Right.
And then the next day says, I'm sorry, I'm going to get help. And you go, okay. And then days or weeks later, exact same thing. And then you're saying, I thought you were going to get help. And they go, yes, I am. Now I'm serious. I'm definitely going to do it this time. And you say, okay. And then days and weeks later, the same thing happens. Mm-hmm. How many of those times do you need before you say, you know what, I can't be in this relationship anymore, period?
Precisely.
It's the same thing. That person might actually get help at some point, but they're not. And it's really a personal decision of how far you want to go mm-hmm. of just having this to keep going.
And
so
in
how
reality,
many cars do I want wrecked before I say,
no,
you can't drive my car anymore. Here's my skateboard. Here's my bike. How about this? Have a magic carpet you can ride. That's about it.
Wow.
That's it.
All right. So thank you for your thoughts on that.
I believe in helping people, but too, as the older I get, the more I see how much time you can actually waste trying to help someone who does not want to be helped.
This is true. Someone who only wants a specific kind of help as well.
Or just wants attention.
Yeah. Or just wants to manipulate you because they know you'll help them.
And there's a lot of people like that. But I say always help if you can. I mean, if you're in a situation, do it. If it's not going to abuse you, if it's not going to somehow be using you, I think you should help.
So what you're saying is don't let the snake's nature change your nature. Just take precautions.
I mean, that's kind of silly. If you think, why would a farmer put a viper in his shirt, a rattlesnake in the shirt? That's ridiculous. That's a stupid farmer.
They barely knew what shirts were when it was written.
He's probably not a good farmer in the first place. So I just feel like if you're not, no farmer I know would do that. So, I mean, I think the story's a little bit flawed anyway because you're using a dumb farmer as your example.
And you're not a dumb farmer?
No, I think most people are not a dumb farmer.
Okay.
So I just think that I think most people understand, but there is a weird line though of how much, and it happens when people are in relationships that involve a lot of abuse. It's just like sometimes you go, wow, why didn't they leave early? It's just like, you don't know how much abuse you would take until you're actually in the relationship. And sometimes, even if you get out of a relationship, you go, I would never do that. But then you're in the relationship.
And you figured it,
It can actually
So
happen.
you continue to show love and compassion to someone, and then you continue to get beat up, and then you continue to show love and compassion to that person.
Yep.
And eventually it's kind of on you.
Yeah, it's true.
It's kind of how I feel about it.
Var true.
All right. Moving on.
I want to talk, speaking of doing things you didn't think you were going to do, I think about this a lot because, like, I have, dudes.
You mean mans?
Yes. We sit around and we will hear stories or talk about stories or watch stories, and we're like, well, I wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. You know what I would do? I'd kick that guy's ass.
Yeah, I'd kick his ass.
I always say that about the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks.
Right.
It's such a dude movie because the whole movie you're sitting there going, oh man, you know what he should have done?
Mm-hmm.
I
would have thought of something better.
It's the perfect movie for guys to sit there and tell you how they would have done it different.
Yeah.
You don't start a fire that way. Oh man, I would have saved that piece right there. I would have moved over here. Then
Yes.
I did that when I first started watching. It's like,
you're a dude.
Yeah, it's a dude movie.
Yeah.
And so I hear that a lot, especially when we're watching movies like when we do the ID movies and a killer or someone's trying to kidnap or something.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't let him do that. The moment he told me to do that, I would have
yelled and screamed and made attention. Yeah.
And then I remember my brother was in a bank when it got held up one time. And he was like, all of those I would haves go out the window. Yep. You hit the floor like the guy says to do.
Yep.
And hope he doesn't shoot you.
Machine gun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's like, you could sit there and go, man, I would have done this. I would have hidden in the back. And No, hit the floor and hope you don't get shot until he gets out of the bank.
Right.
So all of that kind of goes out the window. And I'm saying this because now I've talked about this before on the podcast. My favorite podcast, Fun Employment Radio. Mm-hmm. Look it up, listen to it. It's an awesome podcast. I love it. So like the one of the hosts, it's like us, male, female co-hosts. The dude,
the man,
the dude on Fun Employment this past week got carjacked. He was getting a burger.
Yes.
At a restaurant or a little drive-through.
Right.
And some guy came up and had a knife and attacked him in his car and stole his car.
Knocked him out of the car or pulled him out of the car.
And I've listened to this podcast as long as we've been doing podcasts, since I guess 2013, so 5 years, 6 years. They've been doing it 10 years now.
Yeah.
So, and I've listened to him talk about, boy, I would have, if I was in that situation, I would do this. And then finally he is, and you just do what they say.
Right.
And you don't know you're going through something at the time. It's confusing because you don't expect somebody to jump out with a knife. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden he's in a situation where it's like life happening and some crazy meth guy is stealing his truck. And the guy stole his truck and drove away with it and all of his stuff.
So this clearly wasn't one of those drive-thrus that has a little barrier, or it was, and it is a truck, and he just jumped over it.
He did. He didn't drive, and then he abandoned the truck like miles down the street. They finally found it.
They did find it, yeah.
And they found all of his stuff. He was fortunate. He didn't get hurt. He could have gotten hurt. All of his stuff came back, and he got his truck.
So what did they find the guy?
Yes, they found the guy who also stole somebody's cell phone. And he was charged with a bunch of felonies, and he's going to jail for a long time.
So how does the guy, the dude, drive the Fun Employment Radio dude? What's his name? Nibbler?
Yeah, Greg Nibbler.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How did he explain the situation, or how did he feel about the situation? Was he injured?
No.
Was he mentally
well, he freaked out. He didn't know what was going on. So what happened was he was sitting in the drive-thru window. A guy came up with a broken bottle and said, "Buy me a burger," and started cursing at him. I don't know, curse, what do you say? Anyway, and so the guy was like, "Get away from me," and rolled his window up. The guy goes around to the back of the truck, starts pulling everything out of the back of the truck and throwing it on the ground because he didn't lock the back of his truck. And so he jumped out of the truck and said, "Get away from my truck. What are you doing? Stop throwing my stuff." The guy pulls a knife out, pushes the guy Greg on the floor, jumps in his truck, and takes off with the rest of the stuff. So that's how it happened. And he was like, you know, I didn't even have a time to have a plan because you don't expect this is something that's going to happen when you're going through a burger place.
Right.
So I think it was mostly just confusion. He was glad to get out with no injuries.
Right.
He was glad to get his stuff back.
Of course.
And all of that. And then in the
long run. But how violating.
Yeah, very much so. But in the long run, especially if you're doing a podcast, there's great publicity. He got to be on, he was in like national news.
Maybe you should get cardiac.
I'm thinking maybe something can happen.
I could hire
Now
somebody.
The thing is, now the thing is, if it ever happens, people will think that we did it on purpose. But I started thinking about it because I was watching a TV show down on my TV on ID, and these people got abducted. And I started thinking, again, my mind was like, what I would do is I would, you know. And the guy was standing there with a gun. He was like telling them to get on your knees and close your eyes. And I was like, I would be like, fuck you. I'm not going to do that. And I think I would do that. I would get shot.
You would get shot.
I would get shot because I would be like, no.
Because you can be very indignant. You can be like, no.
Stubborn.
I'm not doing that.
And so I've thought about that a lot. And then I thought, well, what if I said I'm not going to do it, and then they shot my wife?
Because I said, do it.
No, she would be gone. Then I'd be like, holy crap.
Now I'm really not going to do it.
I mean, I can take being shot. They could kill me. What it's going to happen?
Right.
I'm just died.
Then you're dead.
I'm dead.
Right.
But then what if, you know, and then I think about this, like, what if they shoot me in the groin and it hurts really, really, really bad? And then they're like, now do it. And I'm like, okay, I'll do whatever you say. Just don't do that again. I wouldn't be good with torture.
I think people tend to comply in situations like that because they are afraid that, especially when they're with a loved one, like if it were you and your wife, you would comply for that very reason, because they could shoot you in the knee or the groin or whatever, and then you wouldn't be able to protect her.
Yeah.
So you would rather comply with them so that you're still healthy enough to protect her.
I feel like if it's a home invasion, if someone that's why, you know, you need to have gun and protection. But if someone breaks into your home and they have a gun, you're probably getting shot. I don't know how many times it happens to where someone breaks in with a gun and does whatever they do and then leaves you there.
Right.
I think that's probably not going to happen. So, and I've heard that I've always heard, don't ever get into a car with someone.
No.
If they take, know, like women, like if they say get into the trunk, don't do it. Now I know that's easy to say, I'm not going to do it. But what I have here is 7 things you should know if you're ever abducted. So I want to talk about these 7 things. These might help you out if you're ever abducted. Number 1, it says the first moments are pivotal. All right. The first moments of an abduction are the most important and the most dangerous.
Yes.
As you can imagine. If you're being grabbed in a public place and not a pubic place, if you're being grabbed and you're in a public place, make a commotion. And I always think about this. That's exactly what I would do.
Even if you don't want to
scream,
don't look like an idiot.
Yeah. Just and
do it.
Look like an idiot. Be crazy.
Be the biggest idiot.
Fall on the
you
ground
can be.
And scream and whine and move your hands and just be.
Do it.
They might shoot you, but they're going to shoot you anyway. You want to draw as much attention to yourself as possible. However, if you're in a secluded situation and being overpowered, it might be in your best interest to be compliant. All right? Fighting back might cause your kidnapper to panic and hurt you, so it's important to remain calm. That's where I would be in trouble because I don't know.
What is this remain calm thing?
Yeah, I don't know how I would do that, but I guess you got to figure it out. It's scary. All right, number 2, it's important for you to stay composed and dignified when you're being violated.
Yes, sir.
The entire time you're being held captive, you need to do your best to stay calm. All right? The more composed you are, the more chance you'll have of making an escape.
This is where meditation comes into play.
Likewise, maintaining your dignity by not crying, begging, or groveling, as well as refraining from anger and throwing insults. Not doing that, dumbass. Can help relations between you and your captor and keep you from further harm.
That's when you, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, of course.
I think so.
Yes.
I always feel like, and again, it's one of those things you do when it's not happening to you, but I always feel like if there's a way to interject humor, if there's a way to, yes, sir, and let's say he's wearing a Chicago Cubs shirt and you go, hey, Cubbies, I love the Cubbies. Never thought I was going to be held up by a guy who like the same team that I like. you start that way and you might piss him off.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, what if he's like, I can't shoot another Cubbies fan, and then he lets you go?
It might really matter to him.
It might not. I don't know. He might be like, my ex-wife gave this to me and I hate her ass.
Or it could be that I stole this off some fucking Cubbies fan. I'm a White Sox fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only wear this when I kill people.
Right.
But I feel like if you can somehow establish a report, you get like, the guy says his name is Todd, and you say, that's my favorite uncle's name. He's never robbed me before, but you kind of remind me of him. I don't know. Just try to make a connection.
That uncle, I had an uncle named Todd, and he touched me.
Oh, you
weird.
come from Tennessee too?
Yeah.
I'm born in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then
I got out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to end up like you.
All right. Number 3, you must observe as much as you can. So if you're in a car trunk, count the number of turns.
I can never do that.
And which direction you go, left or right. How do you memorize that? I don't know how anybody could do that.
In a state of panic?
Listen for sounds like, is there a train nearby, a building site, whatever, and the specific smells. This is fantasy right here.
This is like CSI.
Yeah. Everything you observe is information that could save you by revealing your location, which is also why it's important for you to maintain your composure. Okay? If you can do it, do it. All right, number 5. Find out why you've been abducted. That's essential.
Why did you take me?
If you've been abducted for ransom, then you're more valuable alive. So your best bet for survival is to be as calm, agreeable, and compliant with your kidnappers as possible. They don't want to kill you.
They want to give you for money.
Yeah. If the person abducting you seems their only end is to do you harm, then you might need to be prepared to fight, run, and defend yourself.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
You don't want to be compliant in that case.
No. All right, number 5. If you get the chance, call the police, not a friend or family member. It's not the time to phone a friend.
No.
Call the cops.
Call the police.
Mom, call the cops for me. Hey, how's Dad doing?
Can I get a lifeline?
I've been kidnapped, by the way. If you get your hands on a phone, your first impulse might be to call your parents or a partner. Don't, unless your dad is Liam Neeson in Taken, it says. Call the police first. It should go without saying that they're going to be the best equipped to get you out of the situation, and you want to be able to give them any information you can firsthand.
Right.
Like, don't order a pizza. Call 911.
Nope.
Do it. All right. Rather than having it filtered through a panicked loved one. Plus, if you call from a cell phone, it's probably traceable, but with police technology, not by your friends and family.
Right.
So
unless they have that app on their phone.
Yeah.
Which is like a stalker app.
Yeah, I just feel like that. Even if you could just dial 911 on your phone, you don't even have to talk.
Nope.
If you can talk, but otherwise just dial it, put it in your pocket because they'll start tracing at that point.
They will.
Number 6, don't try to negotiate your own release. I'll give you some really nice things. Let me go.
Don't offer sexual favors. Don't offer to give them all your jewelry.
Unless they're hot. It might seem like you can negotiate your way out of a kidnapping, but hostage negotiation is actually very difficult. Very precise job that requires an expert. If your captor is holding you for ransom, let the professional negotiators get you out of there. Mm-hmm. Your help could end up being an impediment and putting you at risk.
You're just going to piss them off by talking.
Probably. And you don't have a lot of cool stuff unless you're a millionaire.
Right.
Number 7, Stockholm Syndrome probably won't happen to you. Stockholm Syndrome isn't exactly a psychologically recognized disorder. There are pathological traits both victims and kidnappers have that can cause them to form a bond.
It's true.
Yep. You like chicken too? Me too. My favorite.
Chicken.
However, this is extremely rare. Occasionally, a victim will also feel empathy toward their abductor. I'm sorry, do you have a headache? I think I have some Advil. But it's nothing like the romanticized notion of Stockholm Syndrome. But I do feel like making a connection is a good thing. And that's I feel like in all situations like this, humor is the first thing. No one wants to kill someone that makes them laugh. They just don't.
Okay.
Except Gilbert Gottfried.
Gilbert Gottfried, yeah. So what, okay, but you don't always think that it's your job to help somebody who's harming you. You
don't want to help him. You're trying to form, like, if you make a connection, let's say, everything is different. Somebody might say, shut up, I don't want to talk to you. But what if...
In which case you shut up.
What if you say, really, you're from El Paso? I grew up in El Paso. And they're like, really, where'd you grow up? And you say, I grew up in this. And they're like, oh, I went to that high school. Me too. Do you know, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, you've made a connection. They're like, I can't kill this person. I know them. I know their family.
It's like naming an animal.
Again, anything can happen, and they may not care at all. They may just be cold-hearted killer. And probably
now they're like, oh, wait, you're the asshole who stuck me in a garbage can in high school.
Anything can happen, but I'm just saying, try to get that bond. And again, if you can joke, if you have the composure and you can bring some humor into it, because I just feel like, George Carlin always said no one is going to beat up someone that makes them laugh. He was like, if you're in a rumble, if you're in a street rumble and you're getting into a fight, he was always the guy that would clown around, because he was like, he discovered no one wants to fight you if you make them laugh. It's the same thing. I don't think anybody wants to kill you if you make them laugh. So if you can do that.
But just maniacal laughter is not the same.
No, I don't think so. Okay. And again, you might have a killer.
If this person has me in their trunk and they open the trunk and I just go, ha, 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 ha,
wow, that's scary.
Then what would they do?
I don't know. All right, quickly, I have some missed connections. We haven't done missed connections.
You have what?
Missed connections.
What are those?
We haven't done them in a while. I want to do some missed connections.
What are they exactly?
Well, they're one of those things that you don't particularly care for, but I do.
What did the red light say to the green light? Don't look, I'm changing.
Oh. That'd be the yellow light, wouldn't it? I don't know. All right, missed connections. A girl parked at Ross looking at a guy. This is
Ross Dress for Less?
This is in Noonan, Georgia, down the street from us.
Right.
All right, to the white girl in the black SUV parked way back at the Ross parking lot in Noonan. You drove by and looked at me.
Oh, no.
I was parked in a white commercial van. You continued driving, made a U-turn, came back around and parked close to me, facing me. We both kept looking at each other.
She was probably like, who the fuck
You came out of your car for a second. You had a nice body.
Oh.
We continued looking at each other. I think we might have made a connection without words. Contact me if you want to meet.
That's creepy.
Well, she looked at me. She must want me.
Right?
She looked.
That's creepy.
They had a looking relationship. All right.
Hold on. What do you call an old person with really good hearing?
Huh?
Deaf-defying.
Oh, that's really bad. They're getting worse. All right, male for female in line together in Nashville, Tennessee. We were in line together today. You, a mature ebony female, went before me. On your way, you stopped and asked my name. Where were we? What is my name? What made you stop and ask me? I feel like you're interested in me.
No, she was probably like, you look like that asshole who dated my friend, and I want to smack you.
You're the guy that kidnapped me. I just wanted to know. All right, bearded biker guy in Boston. You just started coming up on my Facebook in the people you may know. Has that ever happened to you?
Yes.
You're like, well, who's that person?
Who's that?
Holy crap.
I'd like to know them.
We have one mutual friend. I am female. You're male. Immediate reason to flag here. I know. Your initials on Facebook are BEB.
Beb.
You have brown hair and a pretty full beard.
Ooh.
Can't tell if you have any tats, but I'd love to find out, it says. And I find men on Harleys sexy AF.
AF. So she's old enough to use
I'd be sexy
acronyms.
AF on the back, she says. That's Boston. Some dude in a beard is going to get laid. All right.
If he gets on Craigslist, which nobody does anymore.
And he's sexy as AF. All right. In Portland, Oregon, beautiful Asian woman in the Beaverton Library.
Beautiful beaver.
Beaverton. Uh-oh. We shared a desk at the Beaverton City Library Wednesday. You had on that bright red lipstick and were so extremely beautiful. I couldn't focus on the work I was trying to do. I should have said hello, but I was so nervous. And also, I didn't want to interrupt your work.
And I hadn't had an Altoid.
Let's grab coffee sometime.
Oh, God. Make my breath worse.
Beautiful Asian woman with the red lips. All right, finally, one more. Last one. S Street Dog Park in Washington, D.C. I have the Yorkie. You have the lab.
I have the Yorkie. You have the lab.
That's right. I can't believe I'm doing this, LOL. I'm the single younger gal with the small but fierce Yorkie who loves to play with the bigger dogs. You have a gorgeous lab who's so sweet and silly. You are also sweet and silly and handsome. You're a bit older and have been showing up with a girlfriend from time to time, but I haven't seen her in a while.
So let's ditch her.
She's buried in the backyard.
Oh, wow.
I guess if you see this, email me or ask for my number at the dog park tomorrow morning.
Or, next week when you actually get on Craigslist and look at this.
You know what's going to happen?
What?
Tomorrow, he's going to start humping her leg at the dog park.
I mean, he is silly.
I'm telling you.
My wife keeps telling me to stop pretending to be butter.
Oh, she does, huh?
But I'm on a roll now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm on a roll. You get to do your stupid misconnections. I get to do
stupid.
my
That's
dad
good
jokes.
Stuff. Everybody likes the misconnections. We get so many letters about it. Hey, speaking of getting letters, send us a letter. Tell us what you think of the show. It's thisepicdisaster@gmail.com. We've been doing the show for over a year now. We're professionals. We know what we're doing. This podcast is precision. It's been tested. We know what we're doing. It's like
tested by whom?
Quality podcasting.
Drug tested? Because we would fail.
You would. I don't do drugs.
So I got a would you rather.
Do you?
Yeah.
I thought we stopped would you rather. We're doing another duo would you rather?
We're doing the end would you rather.
Oh, okay.
Would you rather never be able to use toilet paper?
We just did a toilet paper one.
Or never be able to use the letter E?
That's dumb.
I know, it's dumb.
I could say that, the E, but then I can only go with the toilet paper.
Pepper.
I got a... What are you doing? I got a... Don't you mean you got a pee? No, I can't use E's.
I have to...
Sorry, I got a... All right, I'll do one for you. You want to do one?
Yes.
All right, which would you rather, have your head implode or explode?
Explode, because it's way more work for others.
Yeah, I feel like that you're going to get other people involved.
Right.
If it's going to happen.
I want someone to care.
Yeah, make a big show. All right. Let's talk about this beer really quick on the podcast. This beer from
Monday Night Brewing.
It
is called Han Brolo.
It's very much an IPA. Very hoppy. Very grapefruity. And smells like body odor. I can't get past the body odor. I really can't. I'm sorry.
I'm so over the IPAs, and they just continue to churn them out. It's getting a little annoying.
I hate to say it with Monday Night Brewing because they're a local brewery and they make some good stuff, but this one was not for me. I'm giving it a 1. I can't get past the body odor, and I was thirsty and I wanted a beer.
And you haven't drank half of yours.
I can't do it. It smells like
well, you have
YMCA.
other beers downstairs.
Yeah, I'm going to go do that.
Okay, so I'm going to give it a 1.5.
Oh, so a little half better.
It's still liquid.
We'll pretend like this didn't happen. We'll forget this.
Let's not discuss it.
All right, find us on Facebook because that's where we do a lot of interacting. You can also find us on Twitter.
We should do more interaction on Instagram. The Instagram is the thing now.
Instagram, we should make some videos. We're going to do that on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where you can actually listen to the podcast.
You can. You won't get to watch the podcast, but you can listen to it.
Please. You can go to our website, thisepicdisaster.com.
Funny, that's where I listen to it.
And listen to the show. I would prefer you subscribe. Do you subscribe?
Yeah.
Subscribe. It costs nothing. All you got to do is click a button and you get every episode to your phone or any of your devices.
It'll just automatically download.
Yeah.
And
then
you don't
eventually have to listen to it.
Eventually, when your phone says, dude, you're out of storage, you'll be like, oh, I have to listen to all these epic disaster podcasts.
No, I set mine to where it just has 5. And when another comes, it erases the first one. So It always keeps 5 on your phone. I don't know if everybody's does that, but mine does it.
Nice.
But subscribe. It helps us out, and we will love you for it. And
love you long time.
Send us email. Let us know what you think of the show. Ask for stickers. You know the drill. Drill, baby, drill.
Drill.
All right. We're getting ready to go on personal adventures. We're going to be going out of town in a week or two and having some fun. Maybe we'll have a new story to talk about when we get back.
I'm going to have lots of stories.
I bet you will. I will, too. I'm going to spend some time in Nashville.
I'm headed to Denver again.
I'm going to be doing an interview, which we will talk about later.
All right.
Not going to talk about who it is yet.
Nope.
Guess what?
What? Really?
I'm going to sneeze.
Really?
You know when you got to sneeze and then you're aware that you got to sneeze and you're about to sneeze and then you start thinking about it and then you can't sneeze and it's very, very frustrating?
Do you know what used to piss me off?
That didn't just happen.
I would start to, like I was going to sneeze and somebody would say, bless you.
Or go like, are you going to sneeze? Is that going to happen?
And then
you
it
don't.
just stops.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
It's like having an orgasm and then you don't. It's like you stop before.
Well, a sneeze is like a face orgasm.
It is a facial orgasm,
yeah,
in a way.
Totally, yeah. Clearly, I don't have enough orgasms.
You heard it here first, folks. All right, we're going to be leaving with our 1-star beer and our face orgasms, and we'll talk to you
next week.
Monday. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is a Violet Jester Media podcast.